Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Palom's Lost Chapter. And of course, we're going to be concentrating on the hardest fight of the Lost Chapter of the Mischevious Black Mage Part 16. Now, before we do start, I know that this is a late video to come out. Palom's Lost Chapter has been out for about 2 weeks now, and I do believe that the time for the event rewards might be ending or might have ended by the release of this video. I'm not 100% sure, but if it is still in there and you're still struggling, hopefully this video will help you out. So basically this video is sort of targeted to most of the players that haven't really, I suppose, tackled any of the Lost Chapters, and I really want to complete my Lost Chapter series, and so people have a place to go. This is basically for new players to go and watch a video, and you know, if they're struggling, they can find some ways or some party compositions that might help them and might end up working for them. So without further ado, let's start this video. Now, if you haven't seen my Palom's character event video, I actually covered the Crimson Lizard over there. But in case, like I said, you missed it, here's a rerun of its weaknesses, resistances, and abilities. It has weakness to ice and thunder elements, and actually has a weakness to magic attacks, so bringing magic based characters will definitely help you here. It does have a resistance to fire, and as for its abilities, it has Shadow Nail, which is a melee brave attack, Assassin Nail, which is another melee brave attack, but this time it has a high turn rate, Volcanic, which is a group fire magic brave attack. It has Flame Shot, Blaze Shot, which is a fire magic brave attack. Blaze Shot inflicts a fire resist down, and it has Wild Resonance, which I think is the main gimmick of the Crimson Lizard, or the Iguian, I hope I pronounced that right, beast. This is basically a big buff to them, which is it restores their HP, grants an attack up, a defense up, and a speed up to all its allies. Then it has Igniting Roar, which raises its max brave up and gives itself a HP regen, and also it raises its attack and speed. This normally happens when one of the Crimson Lizard dies, and I honestly thought that it would recover its HP as well, but for some reason it is not listed here, and I do remember seeing it not getting any HP back. So correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. Next, it has Dive Attack, which is a melee HP attack, and this also grants itself a speed up. Then Shred Flame, which is a fire melee brave attack plus an HP attack. Then Eruption, which is a fire magic brave attack plus HP attack. Okay, so now that we know the resistances, the weaknesses, and the abilities of the Crimson Lizards, it's now time to take a look at some general tips and guide. And my first one is not the same as it usually is. This time I want you guys to save about 50% of your abilities for the boss, and in actuality you probably want to be a little bit lower too. I would suggest about maybe even 30 to 50% of your abilities for the boss, especially if you have Lail. This will actually make the last boss a lot easier, but the real fight of this Lost Chapter is actually Wave 3. You probably have to use quite a lot of your abilities there in order for you to meet the turn requirement, but we'll talk about that later on. Next is bringing the boosted characters, of course, such as Palom, Edge, and Vanille. And obviously, if you don't have those characters, other characters that you can bring are Lightning, Vincent, Beatrix, Lael, Ramza, Faris, Seymour, Thancred, Agrias, Vaughn, Bartz, Ace, Deuce, or you can bring in Lilith as well. Now, there are other characters that you can definitely bring, such as Snow, Cater, which can take advantage of the ice element weakness. In some certain extent, Papalimo can do that as well. However, the boss is resistant to fire, so that's why I didn't really include him there. Vaughn is a bit special. He has a lot of elemental attacks. Now, if you do have his EX, it is fire-based element, so you probably want to avoid using it on the Crimson Lizard. However, like I said earlier, the main fight for this Lost Chapter is actually Wave 3. That's why Vaughn is actually still quite useful in this fight. If he can save a little bit of his abilities for the boss, then that would really help him out. Now, as for the healers plus Brave Battery options, I do have quite a few options for you. You have Rem, Selphie, Yuna, Eiko, Aerith, or Katesith. And to some certain extent, Beatrix as well is included here. She does have a healing buff, even though it is quite small. It is still there, but I did mention Beatrix in the characters to consider. Now for the summon, I do believe you do have quite a few options. However, I would suggest that you would bring in Pandemonium if you're going for the chase, and Bahamut if there's anything else. While Shiva and Ramu can work here, I just feel like Bahamut is probably the better choice. Okay, so now let's take a look at some general tips and guide for the fight itself. Now, my first thing for you guys is, if you do reach the final boss, is to actually kill the boss one by one. Now, some people might say, you know, they'll buff themselves, and that is quite true. And they do have a max rate up plus a regen up if they do that. However, if you do have an AD buffer, which is the second thing that I would suggest you to do, and basically you can try and push off those buffs, and especially if you have Vanille or Faris that will cancel out any of their buffs, then you wouldn't have any more problem with this fight. They do hit like a truck as well if they do end up using Wild Resonance. That's why bringing a debuffer is probably a better choice, and killing them one by one is the better choice for me at least. However, if you do plan to kill them almost at the same time, that can work as well. It's really going to be up to you. Now, my next tip is to actually use your summon wisely, and obviously if you're aiming for chase sequences, you make sure you summon in a good order, or basically set up the chase before you do your summon. Now, my last tip for you guys is, like I said earlier, and I've been saying it quite a while, the real challenge in this fight is actually Wave 3 with the mini bosses. The strategy I have here is to actually attack the Skull Dragon first, since I believe it is more tankier than the Behemoth, the Night Behemoth. So, and I feel like it's more dangerous as well than the Behemoth. Now, while the Behemoth may use Heave or buff itself, if you have a debuffer, you wouldn't have any problems with that, and they actually wouldn't be able to one-hit you with that Heave as well. So, in all honesty, you can get rid of the Behemoth quickly as well and concentrate on the Skull Dragon. It's gonna be up to you, but I feel like the Skull Dragon is more dangerous and you would probably benefit more getting rid of it. Now, it has a lot more HP as well, so there's that going for it. And of course, like I said earlier, you will have to use your abilities here. Don't be afraid to use them, because if you are, then you won't meet the turn requirement. It's gonna take a while if you just keep using your normal attacks. Alright, so now we can take a look at some possible party compositions. In this one, I do have Palom, Edge, and Vanille. Obviously, they are the synergy characters, and I put Lael there as the support so you can get your score requirements. I did put Bahamut as the summon, and obviously, you know, this is a synergy team. I'm not 100% sure because I never really run with a full synergy team at all. I think I've done it once and I can't remember which one, and I probably did a video on that one, so maybe twice, I can't remember. But in any case, I don't know how successful this is. I'm not a big fan of Palom as well. Now I know some people are, because they say he's a lot quicker than Squall when clearing all the trash mobs and farming, but I never really heard or seen Palom really, like, you know, overpowered, so not a huge fan, and that's why I never pulled it and I don't think I'll ever pull unless he becomes really broken. In any case, good luck with this team. For the next one is the team that you are watching, which is Beatrix, Eiko, and Lael with a Lael support. And this is basically a chase team, and you can have Bahamut or Pandemonium for your summon. And for the next one is Agrius, Beatrix, and Eiko, or Aiko, whichever one you want to really call her, with the Lael support, and I have Bahamut for the summon. Basically, Agrius is one of the strongest characters we have, and unfortunately I never really got her EX. I got her 35, but never got her EX, and yeah, I still beat myself down. I didn't have enough gems for that. But unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You win some, you lose some. So, but in any case, this team is quite successful. Lots of buffs and lots of DPS with this one as well. Now for the last team I have here is Lightning, Lilithset, and Beatrix, with obviously a Lael summon and a Lael support and a Bahamut summon. I've had quite a lot of success with this one, especially after, well, more so after I got Lightning's EX. I actually tried this out and I got about 230 something score, 1,000 obviously. So yeah, I know Lightning came out, Lightning's EX came out after Palom's Lost Chapter, but obviously if you're revisiting this fight, then if you have Lightning's EX weapon, this will definitely make things easier because of the delay, plus the extra turns if she ends up breaking any opponent. So we're almost at the end of this video, so my closing, I suppose, final thoughts or closing remark for this Lost Chapter. I was quite surprised actually that the last boss wasn't actually as strong as the mini bosses. On my blind run, I obviously tried to save as much as possible and I didn't get the return requirement. But when I figured out that the Crimson Lizard actually has a very low HP, then, you know, it was a no-brainer for me to try and use as much abilities that I have for this particular Lost Chapter on the Wave 3. And, you know, it's the real boss, in all honesty. After you get past that, then actually, in all honesty, if you can kill the Skull Dragon as fast as you can, the Behemoth is a joke as well. So, you know, it's really gonna be up to you how you guys want to tackle this fight. But for my tip is just kill the Skull Dragon and you should be fine. Other than that, there's really no other concerns. I think if you try to, you know, kill the boss, well, the last boss, the Crimson Lizard, at the same time, you may have more troubles with that. They can actually use Shred Flame, which is a melee brave attack plus HP attack. If it breaks you, chances are you might die, especially if you have a non-synergy character here. Eruption is the same thing. That's why I do suggest just kill one of them, and therefore you can concentrate on one final boss, and you can delay it further or launch it, you know, and make sure you just don't get broken as well. But overall, that is all for this video. Guys, remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I'd like to hear from you guys. What team did you use to beat this lost chapter? I know this video is quite late, and hopefully there are still people who will end up watching this video. And make sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter at Munchkins Gaming. You can add me as a friend on Facebook. I don't mind. You can message me, and I'll try to message you back as soon as I can. And yeah, I guess this is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.